Hi, everybody. This is Gail. Welcome to Overcoming the Obstacles today. Now, on this channel, we talk about obstacles that everyday people have faced and overcome. So we talk about a series of just different topics. Today, we have a lady lined up, Lori, that she's going to knock your socks off. And her story is amazing. But this would be a good time, right before I bring Lori on. If you have not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and click that red subscribe button right now. And make sure you click that little bell next to it, because that way you'll get notifications on all of the videos and live streams that we do on that channel. So I'll give you just a second to do that. Okay. And thank you. And don't forget, you can share this with your friends on social media, and I'll be adding some links down below. And this is not a monetized channel. So if you want to support the work that I do here, I've got a Patreon link and an Amazon affiliate store. You can shop on Amazon through that link and support this channel without paying any more than you normally would to shop for that item on Amazon. So without further ado, let me introduce Lori, or actually I'll let her introduce herself, and grab your cup of tea or your coffee or hot chocolate and just hang out with us for a while. So, Lori, welcome.
Hi, Gail. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited, and I'm honored for you to invite me to your channel. Very honored.
Well, thank you. I am thrilled to death because we followed each other on social media and stuff for years, longer than I want to think about. Ancient times and internet years.
Yes.
And the story, your life has just been amazing. It's an inspiration. It's awesome. So I'm thrilled for you to share that today.
Your heart is very surrounding because you're filled with God. So I feel so much warmth around you. I feel very welcomed being around you. And you grabbed me at such a time that I'm in such a presence of faith that I just really felt tickled that you called upon me. So it couldn't have worked out better.
I'm really glad.
And if anybody can convince anyone to really hold on to yourself and your faith, it would certainly be me that I could help toward that step, because that's what really helped me. It helps me on a daily basis, and it really pulled me through and survived me. I'm almost positive I wouldn't be here today if I didn't have any kind of faith or strength or network with other people or learn certain tools to use to help myself emotionally and physically.
Faith can get you through when nothing else does.
Oh, sure.
You have to really struggle to see that sometimes. You know, it's like, where is God in the midst of all this crap that I'm going through, whether it's abuse or joblessness or being picked last on the soccer team, you know.
Oh, that's a good one. I remember kickball when I started having my glitches and missing it. That's a sad one. But it's true. You know, when your mind is in the worst of the emotional state, I mean, that's our worst enemy right there. And you can't stop to think. You don't know to stop and take 5. I wasn't raised to stop and take 5. We didn't have the tools, at least I was unaware of them growing up, that we have now today to help control our mind, because that's really our worst enemy. Our strength is hope, which I just heard recently on Facebook. Someone posted something, hope is stronger than fear. And even not too long ago, I still use these strong affirmations that saved me on one day when maybe I wanted to regress, or I don't want to regress, but my mind subconsciously maybe wanted to regress for those few seconds, or getting up in the morning feeling that way. And the tools that I've learned to use, they still help me today. And I should probably introduce myself. So my name is Lori Finnila. I'm a singer-songwriter, and I'm a bit of a philosopher and advocate for gun violence victims, abuse in general, and human trafficking. My obstacles, I believe, was that I was a potential human trafficking victim, which I just learned recently feeling like I was in the net and so frightened at a period in my life that I just, I couldn't fathom what was happening to me in so many instances from so many places, and from the people where I was supposed to go to feel protected, I had nowhere to go. So
And that's
that
true. So
that
many
was
women who are being groomed.
really bad. Yeah, I did not know. I didn't even know the word groomed. I just learned the word romanticize. Being a woman, I really think our sexuality is what affects us the most. It can bring us down the most. And when you're walking around, at least for myself, with my head high and wanting to feel confident, I did not have that at all. And so I was making myself more of a target by falling into this deeper and deeper, not knowing what it was. So it had appeared I was being taken down by some type of abuse, but it just seemed there were too many acts, there were too many places I couldn't go. It was bizarre, where there would be places like hospitals, doctors, the authorities, and then eventually the government that seemed to be involved, where human trafficking is a billion-dollar business, which I didn't even know what the word was.
It's only been within the past few years that knowledge of human trafficking has really come forward. It was in the shadows for so long that it's just, like I said, it's just now that we get the information on what grooming is, that this is even a reality, that it happens, and very little information on how to prevent someone from being in the traffic situation.
Well, we know there's sexual abuse, there's sexual harassment. I certainly was familiar with that. Most women know that. We were taught from our family how to deal with it. I mean, I was taught how to deal with all that growing up. No one knew, no one in my family knew what this was. I was never told about it. I left home thinking everything was great, went to a city by myself, was doing really well. Moving up in the corporate world, I was an executive assistant. Then I was moving into managerial in the World Trade Center. I mean, nice two-figure salaries I was being offered. I was already being made that through a temp. But then when they take you on, of course, they have to pay a lot more with all the
Right.
insurances and things. But I was willing to go that avenue, and I went out there for modeling. I had some really pretty pictures of myself. I could feel my life turning when I would go home and then go back. I could just sense that something wasn't right. I was going to buy a gun, and right before I even did all that, that's when things started taking a really weird turn of events, and through hospitals, doctors, and to keep it short, my life just took a tailspin. I could not understand. I was being drugged a whole lot. I couldn't understand. I was taken down by anesthesia, is where the really bad part came in. Of course, I couldn't get a gun after that. It was just really mild. And then from then on, it was like I wasn't my own controller of my own life. Everything was I couldn't work. I didn't have work peers around me that keep you protected, of course, because you're doing the same very safe routine. Isolation was horrible. I mean, all of a sudden I was taken from this very protected world, and and then I isolated myself more because I was more afraid to be around people, thinking I'm going to cause them harm, which was a real bad thing to do. You don't do that. What you know from domestic violence, that's another way that you are isolated, because you're afraid other people are going to get hurt. I really was in fear, because I just thought the more I deal with people, the worse it is. So it just got to the point where I was so badly hurt that I just isolated from everyone. And of course, my son's raised now, and I really didn't start till a few years ago using the tools for myself, though I was going around doing radio shows and going to school and trying to keep up the facade of, oh, I'm okay, I'm fine. But I just did what I had to do to get by, which I think a lot of people are doing. But eventually I got sick. I mean, I got sick actually for 20-something years now. I've had an autoimmune disease because my body took so much physical abuse. I won't get into all details of physical abuse and emotional abuse of running from the situation for 20-something years, begging and crying for help in between authorities, doctors, friends who thought I was out of my mind the way I was talking, because I didn't really know how to explain. I'd say, different people that we can count on, just walking in and being around. I would say, my God, you can't believe the things they're saying to me, the places they want me to go, and I'm crying and begging for help. I'm being drugged. I can feel my body being drained of itself.
Drugs, domestic violence, all of that, the isolation, all of that goes into abusive behavior.
Yeah, it's bad, no matter what abuse, yes.
And let me share, well, you mentioned trafficking. Let me just go in here and share the National Human Trafficking Hotline website. So that way, if anyone is listening, if you need this information or know somebody who does, the National Human Trafficking Hotline is 1-888-373-7888. Or the numbers are an easy pattern to remember. So it's 1-888-373-7888.
If you're feeling any kind of sexual abuse, definitely reach out to people. The women who saved me were the women, like you said, about 10 years ago. We were just kind of primitive to the internet, just networking with them and just talking, just hold hands, talk. Even if what you're saying doesn't make any sense, it's okay, because these women that have gone through pain themselves, and some men too, boy, I've had some men be wonderful to me. They will, you just have the love of a husband. I mean, you have been blessed. If we all could end up where you are in the fairy tale world, we're going to follow you, Gail. I'm so happy for you.
My husband has been a true blessing. He has been rock steady, great sense of humor.
And he's cute.
And was able to steer the ship away from the iceberg a couple of times.
Oh, that's so, yeah. Well, I hold on to that even with just male friends, because, males aren't our enemies. I mean,
very true.
We still need to count on them for so much, as they need to for us. But, when our minds aren't there emotionally, we can't be there for our children, our male children, our female children. It's so important to be there for our children. And that's what I've been fighting for.
And you're doing a great job fighting.
Oh, thank you. Well, I just recently joined a lot of Facebook groups for human trafficking. It started out Save the Children, Abuse of Children, and they started telling me about 10 years ago on my radio show, Woman Empowerment Show, which it's been down for a long time. The women that would come on, and they just wanted to come on, some of them, to chat. I didn't have enough space. I didn't have enough time. I had so many people coming to me telling me how they're selling children. I'm like, you're kidding. And I didn't know about child trafficking. I didn't know about women trafficking. They take teens. I didn't know that. I've been watching so many movies. So I joined all these abuse groups, and a lot of it came up to the problem with us sexuality, period, in the world, how the mind works for those few big people that seem to run our world and take down, so many good people that we're helpless to it. Because, I think the majority of people are good, but I know we only have so much time here. But the things I used, if you're in any situation and you really feel you're being taken down completely out of your own control, which is the worst thing in the world. But first of all, you have to face the fear and the sadness.
Losing the control. You start losing it little by little, and that is the first step.
Yes. Oh, yes. And I know what that fright, I'm sure you know what the fright feels like too. It's such a fright that I thought I was going to die from fear. That's how scared I was. I had no place I could go to hold someone's hand or cuddle them or have them cuddle me. I needed that so badly. But because I didn't understand what was happening, I did not know how to articulate it. And when you don't know how to articulate it, I feel you're not going to get anywhere. I mean, I suppose if your parents are supportive and even hug you, you can still be taken, you can still be hurt by anyone if they don't understand the situation. So like you said, it's really good to get these numbers out there that you can call get the information out there. But I first, as a matter of fact, reached out to a pastor who had a mind coaching business. And she was really the beginning of all of it. And
Good.
this was quite a few years ago, because I believed in God, yet I needed tools to learn to use my mind in a very, very positive way. So because she brought God into it, I could relate to her because I was raised Catholic, at least a Christian. And that was the first step. Affirmations, visual, just listening to beautiful music, constantly listening to positivity coming through. And I started to melt the walls at that point. So that's the first thing. You need to reach your mind however you feel is best. Yoga, I've been doing yoga for over a year now.
Yeah, we need, and we need tools and information. Parents don't always know what to look for, and they don't always know what names to put to the struggles that we're having.
Yeah.
So parents need to be educated, but we need to be educated ourselves. And I give you huge props for reaching out and continuing to reach out through all the years it took you to finally be able to get the support that you deserved and that you needed.
I cannot believe that I just like hammer on the nail. I just so nailed it when I found these groups with all these problems. I go in there now, and no matter what kind of abuse, because believe it or not, there's different kinds of abuse that you can end up in these human trafficking situations. So I already had abuse in my life, and I didn't want to believe that it could ever be connected. I don't know. So I pretty much know how to be there for a lot of people that are going through things, and they're dipping their feet in saying, my God, I'm so scared. I don't know if I should tell this. I don't know if I should share this. Should I contact this agency? They think they're crazy.
A lot of people who are in a trafficking situation think of it in terms of abuse or domestic violence, and they don't, like we said, they don't know what name to put to it. So they become addicted to drugs, not because they want to, but because the trafficker is either convincing them by coercion or just flat forcing them to use the drugs. Lots of things going on there. And so I also think it's difficult for parents, at least for the ones that I've talked to recognize that their middle school or their teenage daughter is being groomed or already being trafficked. You just don't always know. And that's why I think it's important for you to tell your story and to really celebrate coming through that, not being in it, but to celebrate your achievement of coming out and emerging as a whole person.
Exactly. Thank you. I'm not in it. And the scary part is I was so scared I felt I would die of fear. And I wasn't even in the midst of it. I had it all going on around me. I had enough done to me that you could certainly say I was sexually abused from it. But being drugged and being at my age, and still my brain, fortunately it worked. The parts that weren't working well from the anesthesia kicked in enough that I knew not to go past that point. They never could get me past the romanticizing. They could never get me out of my personal space. Almost did at least one really bad time, only because I crawled to a door and was able to get a latch up. But that's when I knew I am in serious trouble. Because when you wake up in your body, that's what they show in the movies, if I may say, your body is completely taken down and you are like, oh no. Now, instead of completely falling, now these are young kids who their minds aren't completely developed. I can only imagine where they're at, motive inside of you. I don't know if that's more of a survival technique. Maybe that's why I was having a harder time and my body was dying so much, because it couldn't handle the abuse they were putting on me. It started, late 20s, but definitely when I was in my early 30s, really hitting on me with it all.
Some women have never been told that it's okay to fight back, or that it's okay to even talk back. So when you've not been taught that, or like, especially, I'm just going to pick, I was raised partially in the South, And Southern girls in the South were not raised to speak up. There was very rigid gender roles. And so for a lot of women, they don't feel like they can reach out. And somehow you got the message that you could.
Well, I was a little bit spunky, but like the song I wrote, "Rich in War," dedicated to my grandma. She had spunk, though we were raised very French, because she was the strongest of the cultures that I was raised around. You don't step out of that line. I mean, you could be spunky, but you still have to keep yourself socially accepted. So I just kept my eyes peering around what was going on. And from a little girl's eyes, I watched her as she was really strong as an artist. She loved to paint. Yet, boy, she could break down too. So there were times, yeah, we would talk not to speak for sure as well.
Now, you mentioned being an artist. You are a singer-songwriter. And what are some of your other achievements?
Well, I write movies, and I really badly, I'm going to try until my last breath here. And it could be in my 80s when it happens, but I really want to be able to direct. I wrote a movie called She Finds the Chords Herself. It's a little bit offbeat, the title, where it came from a book called The Virtuous Woman before I studied music a little bit, which helped heal me too. But it really it's a fiction movie that gets into the sexuality of a bunch of young women who are growing up, just having a lot of different facets of this thrown at them. And they end up all together in one room that they've made kind of a bar room in a kind of, let's say, kind of a, I don't want to say a prostitute kind of palace next to them that they were originally taken into, but it's all a very fine line of sexuality, of them not being kept there, but being kept there more by their mind. I'm trying to teach women their mind is stronger than the actions out there. And I'm hoping this saves some women.
It's a very powerful message. Now, I'm going to play a clip from one of your songs. Let me take us first to your YouTube video, and then I'll play a clip of one of your songs. But I think that the movie you're talking about is just going to be amazing.
Yes, I feel that too. It's my baby, and I will hold on to that and keep trying to promote that. I have a Facebook page for that too, if anyone's interested. So
if you will send me that link later, I will add that to the description.
I will do that
below. For that way, any of you that are listening, you want to check out the Facebook group, it'll be below. So do that. And always, anytime you can share these links, it really helps, because you don't know whose live you're going to touch. So,
oh yes, I'm open as to where I came from with it. Yeah, a little bit more in depth.
That's fabulous. Let me get this shared. So first, I'm going to share your YouTube channel itself. That way, those of you all who are catching this, you'll know exactly what channel you're going to when you look her up, because this is it. This is her channel. So, and you can see some of the videos that she's got right there. So now we're going to go over. One of the things that I asked Lori was, what song do you feel like is the most poignant? And she actually already started talking about that before I even got a chance to ask her. Let you listen. You're going to be blown away, I feel sure. Only going to listen to a clip, because I want you to go back and check it out on her channel. Rich in War.
She didn't tell me how bad religion was. She wanted to be alone. It was so very, very sad. She said she was, she had to do us with a paintbrush.
Hey, there you go. Guys, it was so tempting to play it all, because it sounds really great. The music, the lyrics, the passion behind the lyrics, just makes you want to keep listening. So y'all who are listening to this, go to her channel and finish listening to that song. And it's available for purchase or no?
Yes, at iTunes and Amazon. Yeah.
There you go. So you can, even better than going to YouTube, you can go buy it.
Yeah.
So, and we can put that Amazon link down below, or iTunes.
It really covers all ages of sexuality, doesn't it? It just came to me. I thought my grandmother's rich. She doesn't have to go through what I'm going through now. Yet she had her own wars. And gee, everyone has their own wars, from little to older. And though I was feeling the sexual repression of assault upon me, I could see everyone else's pain lined up, whether it was sexual or not. You know, my grandmother crying for my grandfather being away at war, and other women crying too because their men are away and they might not ever come back, as my grandmother was so frightened of. And then, of course, you know, the sexual abuse of the child, from the child up to the adult, you know, the little girls looking on at this. So the pain just is so grouped together. And it's to take women who are called prostitutes, which a lot of them aren't really prostitutes, they're victims. Right. My grandmother's rich because she didn't have to do that. And so I looked up to her. Her life was, though it was difficult for sure, in war, let's say the sexual war, she was rich.
How did you find your path to becoming a singer-songwriter and a screenwriter?
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Well, actually, the singing, I had to pick something to go back to school for. My son felt it would help heal me. I wasn't doing well. So the breathing through the singing, really, the first 3 months I wrote my first album, and it certainly wasn't the best, but my writing was there. And I just started opening up my mind. And like I said, the air going to my head, because I had so many head injuries that were done to me, that I started healing. And it was such a long process, but that's how I got into the singing.
And brain injuries are very difficult to deal with, whether it's mild or major, because even a concussion can cause long-term damage.
Sure.
I know that's something I struggle with as well. And that's certainly something that I think another thing that people don't realize,
No, they don't.
how easy it is to get a head injury and the impact of even a minor one.
Gil, thank you for saying that. The other thing I've been trying to get out here, and I hope this doesn't sound disrespectful, but it's the only word I know to use now until they give women a term for this, is shaken baby syndrome with women, young girls even, that are hit. Because my first hit when I was 16, it could have been 17, I was 16. I was hit so hard in the arm that I was shaken, and I was like 105 pounds, a little girl, and this was a muscled person, man, and I just, my mind wasn't there after that, and so I saw as a little girl how I didn't deal with that properly at all.
Even as an adult.
Thank you. Exactly. Our body is shaken so much that people don't realize that when a woman is hurt, you know, just because you can't see the physical aspect to the head, there's a lot that could be going on in there that you can't think straight, maybe never again, or at least at that moment for quite a long time.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And some of this doesn't show up like even on an MRI.
Not if it's such small things to the cells.
Yeah.
Right.
In my case, I had a concussion, and the doctor was like, you know, I know you have a concussion. You're groggy. It's because you've been hit in the head too many times like a boxer. And I don't even think we need to do an MRI.
I didn't get tests either. That's how I was.
One instance, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't even think I had that much written down. I was so grateful for a doctor, after so much done to me, wrote down anything. And then from there, when I came to Portland, I started seeing doctors with all these machines and knowledge, and things just started to pile up one after another. I needed glasses. And I said, well, I got hit on that side of the head. And it's like, was in an abusive situation, because it wasn't for my eyes, the way they were, the way my brain was functioning to my eye. And I thought, I couldn't believe this guy was writing this down. And I was being prescribed something for how my brain was functioning to this. I just spoke all along the way out here in Portland to my medical team, and I couldn't believe the response. It's amazing because, I just think it's amazing at how different people can be trained to be around these situations. I don't know how to explain it.
Some of the education is just now within the past few years coming out and being presented to medical, pastors, police.
Okay, I didn't realize that. Okay, my heart is just breaking when you tell me about your head. I so can relate to that. I don't think I could relate to anybody being hit in the head, because mine was just a lot of drugs and anesthesia and just get that girl down. I guess at that point they didn't really want to ruin me. I was goods or something. So I wasn't being physically hurt at all. I was being physically hurt later down the line. And honestly, I don't know if that's because I knew too much. There could be other reasons. But once you're a part of it, you really never are away from it. That's why I really am strongly getting involved in this, because I know my life will be in danger the rest of my life. So I'm like putting a stop here right now.
Yeah, and that's almost impossible, I would think, to live with constantly looking over your shoulder.
I have to for the rest of my life. I know I do. I mean, I can get slipped up with something anytime I turn around the wrong person. I mean, I can articulate well, even though I didn't know exactly what it was. I was around too many people that I knew had said blatant things to me, which I'm a little bit more open now. I don't necessarily say names, but to protect myself a little bit. And I have been filing things along the way and keeping notes. So it's not like I'm stepping on people's toes. I guess you could say illegally, because I'll step out a little bit out of my comfort zone, yet I try to watch how much I really know and how much I've reported.
Keep it between the lines in your comfort zone. Yeah.
Right. Yes. So I have to be careful. Just a couple years ago, if I can say, actually, I'm into my 4th year being into this apartment, knock on wood, and thank you, God. As soon as I saw the crosses outside my window, that was what I held on to see the cross. I knew I had this instinct come through me. 2 crosses right outside my window. I'm right in the middle of 2 churches. So isn't that a blessing? I knew I was okay. But before I got here, I was drugged again and taken down, and I was running from the abusive situation that I now know what it is. And I suffered brain damage from that for at least a couple of years. I just started coming back from it probably about 6 months ago. So I know I have to be careful still in my life.
But now you're going into it with more education and a greater understanding and a larger awareness.
And a larger surrounding of professionals. I mean, I make sure that I'm right in there with these people that are fighting this, that they have officials, authorities in these groups that I'm at. I make sure that I connect with as many organizations. If I'm not signed up with these organizations, I'm in the Facebook groups. Really knowledge myself. I make sure that people know what's going on in my life.
That's important, because breaking the silence, you don't know who they're going to share it with, that can positively impact the other person. Several people have shared with me their difficulty in, after they're abused and they're out of it, their difficulty in finding a doctor that will listen to them, and finding compassionate medical staff that will look at them as a whole person and not just say, oh, you were a victim of trauma, that's what your problem is.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to somebody who is listening that or watching, and they're in that situation and they're struggling to be listened to and taken seriously by the community?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. I honestly think the men in my life, whether I befriended them through singing, working with them on some kind of project, my son, who turned into a man, who I raised very well, and he's just a absolute love. So he was definitely a rock I could lean on. I think having enough people around you, and even if it's only one family member or one very, very close friend that you've been able to confide in that believes in you, I really truly believe that what it was. That's what it was. I'm sorry. I don't think I could walk into these medical offices and have them just say, boy, I really like this girl. I'm going to believe her. I truly don't believe that. I would love, I mean, if they came to me and this really got out there more and I was part of the subject and said, boy, we believed you the minute you walked into our office, we could tell. I mean, sometimes I felt that, but I knew deep down that these are credible people that have to really watch their credibility. I mean, why should they throw that away on me?
Even as they're watching that credibility, they have a patient to take care of and to take seriously.
I agree.
I think part of it, you got to keep knocking on doors sometimes.
Well, I gave up on that because it was so many years that, well, the physical abuse really started bad. I keep going back to 10 years, but that really is the time where it really was horrendous and like constant. And I know I was going to the doctors quite frequently. I look at my Facebook page, you can see my face was completely crushed in, even with makeup on, and I couldn't understand why no one was reaching out to me, people that I was dealing with on an everyday basis. I always told my son to stay out of it. You know, he was a child. There's no way I wanted him in the middle of it. I really put my foot down to that. But I would go to, I remember going to a pharmacy and him just shaking his head. And I think the pharmacist thought, see, my face was busted up the worst then, that I was a stupid woman going home to a man. And I got asked that same question when I saw a doctor in a smaller town when I went in, and he could see I was visibly, emotionally and physically disturbed from something. And I had always been very strong. And he was in tears, but still, you know, at that point, it was thought of as maybe like a domestic violence thing. And that's the only thing I knew to turn it on because I didn't have enough facts. I had no knowledge to this romanticizing. And there was a few situations that didn't go quite that far, but I thought, boy, you know, I mean, am I looking good? Do I have bad insurance? I thought, I'm on a streak where I'm too much, you know? And then, of course, the drugs, you're like, I'm past that. Now I'm like completely out of control. We're talking 31, 32 years old, up till 34. I look like a kid. I have a picture of me on my Facebook page of She Finds a Quarter Self. I can plug that if people can't find it, where I talk a little bit more in depth of some of the acts that happen to my body at some of these places. But
Sometimes, even though you're away from that now, you still have the residual, like you said, the head injury, and head injuries just don't go away.
oh, yes, and I have the autoimmune disease, which I'm also trying to spread awareness that a woman's body goes through so much stress in her life, and we really need to stop and take care of ourselves. So many women on a Facebook page that I joined for autoimmune disease, mostly women, I cannot believe the situations that they're in, but they're hopeful because we're on that page. I learned a lot of things there. But I didn't know what an autoimmune disease was. I was told I had Hashimoto's. I knew I had been being drugged horribly. I knew it felt like a poison because at times the top of my head was burning. And I kept using suppositories to get it out of my system because I didn't want it in there. I couldn't throw it up. It was constant, and I could feel my organs failing. But of course, your body's that was before the physical beatings, really bad, because I had some prior in my life, but I don't know if they connect together or not to people I've known. But I got the autoimmune disease, yes. And so I felt that I was told by toxic specialists that I had poisons being put in my body, and through a doctor I saw not too long ago. So we're guessing some kind of pesticide that probably was easy to get out of a garage, possibly by people that I knew. Yes, people you know will do this to you.
And that is unfortunately common route.
I did not know that. Oh, all this stuff. No,
All the stuff.
best looking in high school. Married a football player. I rode in the. I was nominated. What is it called? Homecoming queen. I rode in the parades of the prettiest girl in my town. You don't think this is going to happen, you know?
I'm in awe over what you have accomplished because you have come through the abuse, the head injury,
Yeah.
the grooming, the Hashimoto's,
Mm-hmm.
and you have been able to recreate yourself and become the person that you are today.
It's because of other people like you. Other people, Chef Pete Evans, who taught me how to eat better because now I have sensory damage like someone with autism. Not ashamed to mention that. Dr. Mimi Guarni, I hope I said her name. She founded Scripps Alternative Medicine. I took a 24-course free online lecture course with her who changed my life. There's so many things out there. I only have a few that I can mention, but if you want to start with those two, please do. Chef Pete Evans, I saw on Netflix. He opens up how the oils can help our body from seizures. Sometimes I would be shaking. I started doing the coconut oil. It's amazing how the love of these people will come out and spend time and tell us how to get better.
Thankfully, that is one area where the internet does have a lot of information.
Yes.
You mentioned affirmations, and there are sites that you can go to where you can get the daily affirmations, and you just keep repeating those to yourself. You know,
yes.
I am worth it. I can.
That's where I started.
I am safe to be loved.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those things.
I look weird. Yeah, I did that. I used to get up in the morning and look at myself and just, I know I looked weird, but I did that over and over and it really works.
Yeah. Who cares if it looks weird?
Right. That's what it saved me.
Home. It's
yes.
okay.
Yes, you wake up and you actually feel good.
Right,
yeah.
You know.
It's amazing what our mind can do for our own body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. But you have to find that center of yourself.
Yes.
To be able to, refocus your mind and see a future when you're out, and then to be able to reach for it like you have and to claim that future. Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
Can I give the internet credit? Because people say the internet brings you down, but the internet actually saved me and it's saving a lot of other people's lives. I know I definitely saved lives in the past, and even now I feel like I have been. You grab these people or they come to you, they're desperate. Sometimes it's the only way we can reach for help.
The internet is a tool. I like to compare it to a screwdriver in the drawer. You have its potential there as a screwdriver. It is a helpful tool. But then sometimes that screwdriver slips, and then sometimes you need to use the screwdriver as a hammer, and you have to drive through. So sometimes you have that useful tool called the internet that's just waiting there. And sometimes you'll search for help, and it'll kind of slip up, and that help, you won't get the help. And then sometimes you have to be that hammer, just hammering through the internet until you find the sites that will help you the most.
Yes, that's very good. Very well put. Yes.
So but I'm glad you're able to get help and support from the internet. That's amazing.
Constantly.
I used to have some rape recovery forums back in the mid to late 90s. And if you've ever heard of trigger warning, that's kind of my fault. But anyway.
Oh, I like that. Please share that on Facebook. I would like to put that on my pages. That's great.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
Okay.
It's like swept the world, and it's.
Oh, I like that, Gail. My goodness.
It's interesting. We'll talk about that another day.
Yes, I would like to.
You.
I would like that, Gail.
Okay. Well, this is about you and your achievements. So where do you see yourself going from here with all of your talents, the singing, the songwriting, the screenwriting? Mm-hmm. Where do you see yourself going?
Well, I pretty much keep my own business because it's really everything's in my name, Lori Jean Finnila. I keep my own business surrounded within myself, really. I keep, I don't want to say a tight hold on it, but I really do in my mind because I try not to get to drift out into a lot of the different social media kind of promoting or success. I try not to do that at all. It's kind of fun. I've had that almost 2 million hits on my Google when I had a label, Factory Fest Records, and it didn't turn out the way I wanted at all when I went out there to present my material. I was treated unkindly, and I didn't really feel like what I was trying to project as a woman was coming across. So I'm really protective of my content. And if I'm only helping 1 or 2 people a day, I really want to serve God. I mean, I'm not happy unless I'm serving God. I can go out there and be, the pretty thing, the successful thing. I could have always had that, but then I feel I'm missing something. I don't know if it's just my connection to Him or not, but I don't want to be selfish. I want to be selfless here and there. So if I'm continuing to help people, whether it's I'm writing movies, writing music, putting up a podcast, which I have out there at iHeartRadio too under my name, I really have been sharing some deep moments. Then I'm happy with that. If that's success in my life and that's what's God has planned for it, I'm okay.
God sometimes reroutes your life.
Yeah.
From what you thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He does. So I'm following really Him. I'm following God. I'm following Him as to when I'm lost, I just sit down by myself for the longest amount of time, whether it's meditating or just being in silence, sometimes listening to myself where I might have been at when I wrote a song, how important it was to me, what God's trying to reach to me really as to what I should do next and where I should be. I feel more comforted following that path.
Not everybody's got that kind of testimony. A lot of people will run from God for a long time.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've never done that, but
good for you.
Yeah, no, I don't know that. I wasn't raised. I've been taught to hold on to Him when you need Him, but I think subconsciously more. I've done it my whole life, but when you really backed against a wall, and I felt so saddened so many times where I felt my life was a waste. I didn't get to do this, didn't get to do that, and okay, I know that's not reality. I really need to face that everyone's life is important, no matter where you're at in life. You're breathing. You're here to share an important part of you. So that's when I reach to God, when and it really brings, I'm okay. I'm happy. I can live happily knowing that I've connected with Him again. I'm okay. I know where I'm at now, so.
Good deal.
Yeah.
So, we've only got a few minutes. We've only got a few more minutes, but in the next few minutes, tell me what you would say to your 15-year-old, 25-year-old self, and what you would say with other people are being taken down the path that you were taken down.
Okay. Well, first of all, always reach out to someone, even if you don't feel safe, don't reach out to that person. It could be the closest person to you. I know you can't go there, and I completely understand that. It could be someone completely outside of your circle, which I don't recommend first, but I got taken down when I was very younger from doing that. I thought I'd be safe, but I wasn't. But, try to find someone. If you can't find someone, then you're going to have to go to an organization. 9 times out of 10, you can trust people at these organizations. I know how corrupt the world is. I've seen it all. But you will find somebody. Be patient. Take that breath. Just stop. Take that 5-second breath. If you have to let fear overcome you and sadness, then do it. And just hold on tight. Reach to God. I reach to God. Reach to who you believe in. There is a higher power for everyone. You've got to reach for that higher power.
Lori, thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
On overcoming the obstacles.
Thank you.
I think your story is amazing, and I think it's going to help a lot of people to hear this.
And I think you're amazing. You helped me a lot today, Gail. You're a beautiful woman. Please give your husband love and your family. You're a doll.
I don't know what to say to that.
Oh,
But
you are. You're such a sweet thing. You're so cute. You're so nice. You're bubbly. You're just love. You're all around the word love.
thank you. Like I don't know what to say, but thank you. And thank you all that are watching. Please share this on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Check out Lori's links. Go to her YouTube channel. Listen to her music. And then go to Amazon and iTunes and buy her music.
Sure. It's free too at lorigfinnila.com. I have links over there. So if you don't have the money.
Great. Sounds good. Thank you all for watching on Overcoming the Obstacles. We talk about a variety of subjects to help you change your life. Or encourage you. And I hope that this show has hit the mark. Leave me a comment down below to share your thoughts and your feelings about this or any other subject. And thanks for watching, and we're going to see you on the next broadcast. Bye, you all.